and Betty Hill, the couple at the center of America's first case of alien abduction.
We have tapes of the conversations under hypnosis.
The examiner, he took me out.
Aliens, never on a table.
This examiner produced a very long needle.
A woman discovers her dead husband cloned by aliens.
To see my husband walking towards me. And I said, no, it's not you, you died. Then I look around at the graves and I tell him, what kind of a dirty trick are you doing to me?
Trained by aliens for imminent planetary war.
This is completely against your will. You have no choice. You will do it. It's just terrible.
For decades, reports of close encounters with extraterrestrials have touched and troubled nearly every corner of America.
Looked like a cigar shape, and it was just real bright, just out of sight.
As the years go by, the stories only escalate in terror.
And they were performing medical experiments on him.
Abductions, bizarre examinations, unexplained missing time.
White, gleaming object came out of the heavens.
It may seem like alien abduction stories have always been with us. They actually began with a single case and one remarkable couple, Betty and Barney Hill, America's first alien abductees. In New Hampshire, U.S. Route 3 winds its way through the scenic White Mountains. A few miles north of Lincoln, New Hampshire, a small state sign makes note of a curious moment in American history.
The Barney and Betty Hill case is so unique because prior to their case, there was no precedent.
The Hill story was the first abduction story that got any publicity. It was the first one that we ever heard about.
Now, this historic case of abduction takes a fresh turn. Transcripts of the couple under hypnosis, the sessions where each relived the ordeal, offer a window into their alien encounter as never before.
He took me out.
Oh, there it is. Oh, God, what is it?
Betty and Barney Hill were a respectable married couple living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Betty was a social worker, very active in the church. Barney worked for the post office, was very active in civil rights, was on the Governor's Civil Rights Commission. So they were living a busy, satisfying life. They certainly didn't need anything about a flying saucer story to foul up their lives.
In September 1961, Barney and Betty were returning home after visiting Montreal and Niagara Falls.
They were relaxed. They had had a good night's rest the night before, and they were in a happy-go-lucky mood.
When they approached Lincoln, New Hampshire on State Highway 3, their vacation took a bizarre and terrifying detour.
Betty was taking in the sights around her when all of a sudden what appeared to be a falling star, only it fell upward,
What is that?
appeared in the sky and then stopped and started moving in closer and closer.
I think that's a plane, honey.
She was curious. It was the motion of the thing that really got to her.
It was flashing multicolored lights. As she watched, the star grew larger and larger. Then it moved west, and it very rapidly came back in Betty's and Barney's direction.
Then, the unidentified flying object began moving directly toward them.
Stop the car, that's no satellite.
What happened next was sheer terror. Somehow, the nightmare was over. Yet 2 hours of missing time had transpired.
They had no idea what had happened. They lost all memory of what occurred.
Recovering those memories would become one of the most fascinating tales of alien abduction. At first, the only thing the Hills knew, they were miles away from where they initially saw the UFO. And certain something terrible had happened. When they arrived home, the evidence couldn't be ignored.
Betty's dress was torn down on one side, and the lining was torn from waist to hemline.
The dress quickly began to fade, the fabric coated in a strange pink powdery substance.
The tops of Barney's best dress shoes were deeply scraped. The watches that they were wearing that night had stopped operating. Betty found unusual, shiny circles on the trunk of her vehicle.
Their niece Kathleen remembers the incident vividly.
I was 13 years old when Betty called my mother to tell her about the close encounter with a UFO the night before. When I heard there was missing time and there was physical evidence and that there was a possibility that Betty and Barney were actually captured, I became very concerned and worried and frightened.
The family kept the encounter secret. The Hills aimed to return to their normal routine.
They had no interest in science fiction, didn't have any UFO books at home. UFOs weren't their thing. They were afraid people would think they were crazy. They'd lose their jobs. They had nothing to gain and everything to lose.
Only they couldn't keep buried the trauma of what they had experienced.
Barney started to have symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. He was having difficulty sleeping at night, and this was affecting his job performance. He ended up actually taking a leave of absence because he developed a bleeding ulcer.
The Hills knew they needed help.
The doctor recommended they see Dr. Benjamin Simon.
Relax completely and go into a deep sleep.
He's the world expert on dealing with what was then called shell shock. Today it's PTSD.
Dr. Simon was filmed treating this GI, wounded on Okinawa Island during World War II.
Where are they taking you?
We used hypnosis to help these war veterans get their lives back.
In February of 1964, Dr. Simon hypnotized Barney and Betty Hill in separate sessions, recording hours of audio tape, documenting their subconscious memories about their UFO encounter.
You're very sleepy. You can remember everything now.
It's right over my right. God, what is that?
Once unlocked by hypnosis, their memories reveal key moments in the missing timeline.
Stop the car.
And how the encounter with the aliens unfolded from the beginning. When Barney and Betty first pulled off the road, they were just curious about the strange star somehow heading their way.
Nobody around, there's no traffic, late at night. And this thing comes close.
Put the gun in my coat, and it's there.
Stay right here, I'll be right back.
This object was about 1,000 feet away from him at that point. And it suddenly changed direction and descended very rapidly toward him. Barney started to feel concerned as this thing started to descend toward him because he could not hear a sound, and he should have heard a sound if it were a plane.
It was only when it came a lot closer And he's watching with binoculars this round object that suddenly it took on a whole new dimension.
What is it?
In the early 1960s, Barney and Betty Hill were headed home from vacation.
Stop the car.
An unidentified flying object interrupted their drive. In the aftermath, they only knew they'd been through hell. By means of a series of hypnosis sessions, what had happened to the Hills that night was finally revealed.
God, I'm scared.
They got out of the car and looked up at this craft. And Barney took his gun, he took his binoculars, and he walked out into the field looking up at this amazing sight.
Although Barney appeared calm for Betty's sake, as the hypnosis sessions would reveal, Barney was scared for their lives.
Try to maintain control so Betty does not see that I'm scared. God, I'm scared.
It's all right. You go right on and experience it.
Dr. Simon was forcing him to uncover those memories that he wanted to block.
I gotta get my gun. Oh, there it is. God, what is it?
And this brought forth a tremendous release of emotion.
Oh, there it is, up there.
This was pent up inside of him.
The emotional intensity is so great that it matches that of any of the shell-shock war veterans Dr. Simon worked with.
Doesn't go away.
It was as if the UFO was summoning them.
And he could see inside the windows and see there were beings there of some kind. And they moved in a precise fashion. He suddenly locked eyes with somebody there. He got very frightened.
Yeah, Captain, what is he?
Barney described this leader as being dressed in a black uniform. He knew that this was not a human being that he was looking up at. The leader communicated a message to Barney that he should just stay there and just keep looking. No harm would come to him. And Barney became terrified, fearing that if he remained in that field, he would be captured. He stated, like a bug in a net. He found that he couldn't pull the binoculars away from his eyes.
Look at me.
It took a great deal of strength to do this. And when he finally did, the leather strap broke. And he ran back to the car,
Get in the car, let's get out of here.
screaming.
Barney and Betty tear down the highway, convinced the aliens are in pursuit.
Keep watching for it.
Can't see anything.
Betty put her body out as far as she could and looked up. She and Barney started to hear a series of buzzing sounds that seemed to be striking the trunk of the car. It caused the car to vibrate and for a tingling sensation to pass through their bodies.
At some point on the road, the world for Betty and Barney began to drift, as if they'd fallen into a trance. Now, the aliens were in control.
Suddenly, he saw these figures standing in the road.
Betty and Barney were face to face with extraterrestrials.
Betty and Barney described them as having large eyes. They appeared not to have the kind of noses that we have.
The beings that they encounter are very similar to what today we call the Greys, but back then that term was not used. Now we consider those guys your typical alien, but in the days of Betty Hill, all this was new.
These beings, they did have the ability to seemingly paralyze Betty and Barney and to render them actually unconscious. Barney felt as if he was floating. His arms were outstretched. Everything was floating except the toes of his shoes.
The shoes, the ones he would later find scuffed.
He then felt them bump up a smooth ramp. When Betty and Barney were taken into the craft, they were separated.
The first alien examination on Earthlings was about to begin.
Betty was placed in a chair. Hands were examined, her feet were examined, joints were examined. These ETs seemed to be very interested in Betty's and Barney's skeletal systems and how they moved. And then this examiner produced a very long needle.
No, don't do it! No!
And he said, it's only a simple test. You have no reason to be fearful. This won't hurt.
What are you going to do with it?
And she's very frightened at this. And when it's clear that they're going to come at her with this needle,
Don't do it! Don't do it!
it scares the heck out of Betty.
No, don't do it! Don't do it!
In the early 1960s, Betty and Barney Hill claimed they were taken by extraterrestrials. The first publicized case of alien abduction. Through hypnosis, the Hills revealed details of their encounter. Separated from her husband aboard an alien spaceship, Betty endured a frightening medical procedure.
And then he plunged it into her navel, causing excruciating pain. It was so painful, and she was so traumatized at this point that the leader then passed his hand over Betty's eyes, and all of the pain disappeared.
She was shocked, horrified. The leader waved his hand and the pain stopped.
Barney's treatment was no less mortifying, no less terrifying.
His skeletal system was examined.
What are you doing?
At one point, they decided to do what apparently was an extraction of semen, and a cup was placed over his groin.
Sometime later, the Hills found themselves back in their car.
When Barney was taken down, he actually sat on his pistol. He's lucky that it didn't go off. The whole time that this was happening, their dog, Delcy, had pushed herself as far under the front seat as she possibly could. When Barney returned to the car, he reached down, and she was trembling.
The couple knew they'd come under the control of something capable of running roughshod over space and time.
Betty and Barney realized that they were 35 miles ahead of where they had been at this field where their stop had been made. They realized that they were down near Ashland, and only what seemed like a moment before, they were up in Lincoln, New Hampshire. They should have arrived at about 3 o'clock in the morning or earlier. It should have been dark. Dawn was streaking the sky. The birds were chirping.
They got home 2 hours later than they should have gotten home. And they realized their watches had stopped. This is peculiar. Betty's dress is torn. Barney's shoes were scuffed. He was a meticulous dresser. Why would his shoes be scuffed?
For Betty and Barney, the mystery and fear with which they were left remained unresolved. They badly needed answers from deep inside their minds.
There's no question that these sessions were indeed helpful to the Hills. They got rid of the ulcers, also decreased the anxiety level that had been around because of those experiences.
Hypnosis gave closure to them and helped them a great deal in overcoming their fear of what had occurred.
For 4 years, the Hills made no mention of the event publicly. They had no interest in publicity, so they were shocked to suddenly find themselves front-page news.
And out of the blue, Betty gets a call from the reporter for a Boston paper. I want to do an interview with him about your UFO experience. She was shocked, horrified.
Once all of the publicity hit the media, Betty and Barney finally decided that they should step forward. They were quite brave in doing this. They were both committed to the truth. They were committed to doing what they knew was right.
I went on TV and had lie detector testing in front of the whole country. And I had very, very high ratings for honesty and truthfulness.
Betty and Barney Hill lived the rest of their lives trying to uncover the truth behind their alien abduction, the first of its kind. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Over the last 50 years, this southwestern city has taken on an unusual distinction.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
Propelled by famous UFO incidents at nearby Roswell Army Base and at neighboring Kirtland Air Force Base, this part of New Mexico is now considered an epicenter for extraterrestrial activity. Many have wondered if these stories could be real. One woman has wanted answers ever since the aliens took her husband, the husband who passed away so mysteriously.
To see my husband walking towards me, and I said, "No, it's not you, you died."
No! No!
And I look around at the graves and I tell him, "What kind of an experiment are you doing to me?"
Albuquerque, New Mexico. In 1988, Gloria Hawker was a married church-going mother of 4 and medical secretary. She never gave much thought to UFOs or alien encounters.
Before my awakening in 1988, my belief was non-belief. I did not believe in UFOs.
One night in September of 1988, Gloria saw something in the sky that turned her world upside down, launching a nightmare that haunts her to this day.
It was a Sunday. The day was pretty normal. About 9:30 that evening, I sent the kids upstairs to go and get ready for bed.
Gloria's husband, Fred, worked nights, so he wasn't home.
The balcony door I had left open because it was warm, and something caught my eye. There was a light coming from someplace, and I said, "Well, what is that?"
Hey guys, come here.
So I called the children outside to the balcony because there's a hot air balloon and I think he's going to be landing.
There's a hot air balloon. Grab those binoculars out of the drawer there.
But the glowing object wasn't like anything they'd ever seen.
The big, large white light would go off, and in a circular pattern, smaller lights came on.
Let me see, Mom.
Okay.
Why is it doing that?
We stood there thinking, someone is playing games with us.
Gloria put her kids to sleep, but the strange light somehow kept tugging in her mind. By the next day, Gloria was ready to put the whole thing behind her. She was at a parking garage heading to work.
So I'm just walking down the stairs. It was a beautiful morning. And then all of a sudden, an experience that I cannot explain. There was a hard push on my back. It just whoosh. And then all of a sudden, I woke up down at the bottom of the stairs. My head hurting, my whole body hurting.
Gloria is certain she didn't trip. So are the witnesses.
2 witnesses told me it was like somebody hit you and made you fly through the air. You did not trip. You were flying.
Her attacker was a complete mystery. Yet Gloria felt it was somehow connected to the strange lights she'd seen the previous evening. Later that night, Gloria was at home, bruised and bandaged, trying to get some rest.
It was about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. All of a sudden, the wall to our bedroom began to fluctuate with these colors, and they were just like in unison, fluctuating.
That's when the aliens arrived.
All of a sudden, these things came through the wall. And they're walking closer and closer. They were 3.5 feet tall. They were gray, had huge, gallon-shaped, glassy, black eyes. I thought it was just a hallucination until I felt her touch. He touched me on the arm first, and then he went up, and that's when I saw only 3 long fingers. No! And I'm screaming, and I'm screaming, and I'm screaming.
Help me!
When I looked into the eyes of this ungodly creature, I really felt this was going to be the end of my life.
The alien was implanting some kind of device inside Gloria's head.
The fear. There are just no words in our vocabulary to tell you what I felt. That night, I was implanted in my head and through the eyes.
Since the mid to late 1990s, abductees who reported having alien implants, having them x-rayed and identified and surgically removed. And some of the ones that Dr. Roger Lear did in the mid to late 90s, I was actually there while they did the surgeries and interviewed 5 of the people. They found that one of the implants, for example, was something that was metallic and they thought was meteoric.
Throughout all these mystifying experiences, Gloria's husband, Fred, was her most loyal supporter.
Every night, he would hold me so tight in bed, protecting me so they wouldn't be able to take me. I would talk to him after every memory, every happening, and he'd sit there listening, being supportive.
Her worst trial, at the hands of the aliens, was yet to come. Almost overnight, her husband Fred turned into a different man.
Something is wrong with you. I've been trying to communicate with you for days. Why won't you talk to me?
The way I've always
yes, there is something wrong with you.
His personality, everything just completely changed for the worst. Verbally, sometimes he'd try to shake me or try to hit. His whole personality changed.
She had no idea at the time. Her husband was also an abductee, and the aliens had their own plans for Fred.
There's people who've reported seeing their cloned bodies and then being offered the opportunity to work for the alien. It really changed their lives dramatically.
It certainly changed Gloria's life.
Oh, you're home, thank goodness. I was so worried.
I got lost. I couldn't find my way home.
Among UFO abductees, a growing number claim aliens are making clones, copies of humans, chilling in their precision. For Gloria Hawker, this nightmare arrived at her very own door. Her husband, Fred.
One particular night, he lost his way home. He couldn't find where he lived.
Oh, you're home, thank goodness. I was so worried.
9:30 comes around, he comes in, and he had this very frightening look on his face.
I got lost. I couldn't find my way home.
Gloria was becoming afraid of the Fred she no longer knew. A few hours later, Fred was dying.
That night, he started convulsing. I didn't know what to do for him. I called the heart hospital here in Albuquerque. He had his arm extended out towards me. And I knew that he was gone. So all I could tell him was, go, follow the light.
Just days after Gloria first saw the change in her husband, he was gone. Life as she knew it would never be the same. Years later, during one of her own abductions, Gloria would finally learn the truth about Fred's sudden departure.
I woke up on board ship, and I heard the swishing of the silver door sliding open. And who walks through the door?
Gloria, it's me.
Is my husband, Fred. And I said, no, it's not you. You died.
No, you're dead. I remember, you were there, I was there. You're dead. You're just a hologram. This is not you.
And he said, no, Gloria, listen.
It is me. It is me.
What kind of sick experiment?
And I look around at the graves and I tell him, what kind of a dirty trick are you doing to me? What kind of an experiment are you doing to me? Why? And Fred kept saying, no, Gloria, listen, it is me, it is me. Just right before he did pass, that they put a clone in the bed and took him.
Losing her husband so suddenly and so mysteriously is the toughest challenge Gloria has ever faced.
Is he really alive on board ship? Working with them? I don't know. But I need an answer.
Near the sultry Gulf Coast of Mississippi sits the sleepy town of Wiggins.
Wiggins is a nice little small town. I moved here just because it's friendly.
Wiggins, Mississippi is filled with just really good people, and it's really family orientated. It's more so in that area than any other town I've ever lived in. Everybody knows everybody.
Electronics technician Richard Rogers and his wife Mary live in Wiggins raising their 2 children. By day, life is ordinary. But nearly every night, Richard undergoes something out of this world. One horrific test of survival after another, all supervised, he's certain, by extraterrestrials. Richard Rogers claims aliens are preparing him and other humans as super soldiers for imminent planetary war.
I've seen the complete world just destroyed. You will fight and you will kill everybody until no one is left standing. When the experience happens, it's almost like the movie The Matrix, where they would have their training environment and they would have these weapons, except our weapons are actually our abilities for telekinetics and telepathy, teleporting. You're placed into a testing environment where almost anything's possible. Every time I thought that we had seen everything, they would put something else on our plate and test us in that. Things that you would never do, they're absolutely terrifying. You're in tears when you wake up.
This kind of thing has been going on in the abduction literature for years. These horrible things are going to happen, and then you have to prepare and how you're going to have to save the world. It's a test to see how people react under these kinds of situations.
A number of UFO abductees have stepped forward with similar accounts of alien testing.
The aliens play mind games, so they will do mental experiments where I had to watch all these scenes of devastation on Earth. Floods and volcanoes and nuclear bombs going off, and it was just a series of disastrous events. What they really wanted to do was monitor my emotional reaction to witnessing Earth's destruction.
Some of the tests are violent. For the abductees, everything about them is flesh and blood real.
I've woke up with strap marks across my biceps. I've had various marks on my bodies from time to time. Matter of fact, right here, there's a cut that's healed up. One morning I just woke up and it was still healing. It looked like I'd been tied in a chair and pistol whipped or something.
For as long as Richard Rogers can remember, he's been a test subject at the hands of the aliens, like an extraterrestrial form of the Hunger Games. Rogers claims he's launched into battle to be trained as a soldier for future intergalactic combat.
Sometimes I would know this was going to happen because I would become very sleepy at 5, 6 o'clock at night. You'll be inside your bed and you'll tuck your blanket in as tight as you can because you will feel this thing outside and it is pure evil. And all of a sudden you go unconscious.
And in the next instant, Rogers is transported to a terrifying virtual reality test.
It's as lucid as you can get. If you cut yourself, it's going to bleed.
In one test, Rogers had to fight a monstrous giant, intent on eating him and everyone trapped in a room.
If the creature would have got one hand on me, that would have been it. Because it would have crushed anything it had. There was no fighting it. I remember there was a lady, she didn't even try to move. And it just grabbed her and just drug her off by the leg and just started just devouring her.
Richard knew it was up to him to kill this creature.
I was scared to act, but when this Hulk creature drug her off and just ate her, that emboldened me enough to finally step forward.
In these simulated fights, weapons appear out of thin air.
I hacked as hard as I could, and this thing didn't even hardly flinch. And I was like, holy smokes, what have I got myself into? It was incredibly slow, but strong. If it ever got hold of you, that was going to be the end of it. I started slashing into its stomach, and it didn't care. It just kept coming. I got behind it, and I just cut as deep as I could in the backs of the legs. And that's just when the scenario ended.
In a flash, Richard's out of the scenario. But like a video game, surviving one encounter means he must continue at a deadlier level. In this one, aliens in the form of humans appear, and once again, Richard is put to the test.
It restarted again, and the creature was in a chair, and there was a man and a woman who was wounded. They couldn't even stand up any longer. What are you doing? Which made me happy. But this man and woman were trying to heal this creature.
Why are you trying to help it?
And I was mad about that.
Once again, the aliens wanted to see what Richard would do.
I was furious about this because this thing was eating women alive.
You have to kill it.
Back from another test inside the alien matrix.
They're absolutely terrifying where you're in tears when you wake up. So don't even ask me what it's for. I have no idea why they put us through this thing.
The aliens are very interested in man's emotional makeup. They seem to be devoid of it completely.
Dozens of websites on the internet are devoted to UFO military abductions, the MILABS phenomenon, alien kidnappings that turned into military testing and training.
I believe, based on what I've observed with the people that I work with, this is a future scenario, and there's going to be mass chaos, it's going to be war. They're being tested and trained for their ability to react in certain traumatic situations like post-apocalyptic war scenarios. So it's like testing their abilities to pull out the strongest part of what's inside of them, their innate abilities.
Richard says he hates every one of these scenarios he's placed in, but he feels he has no choice but to comply.
What do you do if there is really something coming to humanity and you are supposed to be part of the force that's supposed to stop whatever it is coming? Could be a possibility.
Terrifying alien encounters, implants to control you, clones to replace us. Is something happening at the hands of extraterrestrial beings we can hardly begin to understand?
There is something out there. There is.
We had better be worried about it because this is beyond anything that you can even prepare yourself for.